Yeah.
Thanks, Charlie.
Ready to roll?
Yep.
Very good. Well, welcome, and want to thank you for getting this set up. Glad we could get it set up pretty quickly here. And, we just want to have a full discussion, see where we are, what we can do, try to get this done. We did, since we couldn't get the package to you at the last meeting, we did send it to you after that. And it's obviously, we both know it's the whole package, the whole deal. We understand the importance of pension, but we also think an important part is the wages as well. And the city's worked really hard to put together a package of wages that really, we think, show substantial increases for most everybody, and that kind of thing. And we want to be sure it's understood. We're prepared to talk about it, answer any questions. We've put it up on the screen here for everybody to see. And we also sent out, and we can put it up if there's any individual questions as to how it affects any individual people. So we have that available today too, so that we can, if we've made any errors or anything like that, something doesn't look right, we want to talk about that, because that's an important part of the package. And we'll certainly circle around everything that's open, but basically, there's really 3 tiers to this. So over the next, between now and October, which is what I use my fingers, August, September, October, 3 months, 2 months really, it really compounds into very significant increases. And we hope it's something that you all will seriously consider and realize, we're working hard to try to get this done and create a competitive package. So the first element of this is $1.73, which, as I hope you note, is higher than we had talked about, higher than the initial consultant's report. I think talked about $1.53, but we did want to put a package out there that looked as strong as possible. So we're talking about a minimum of $1.73 or 3%, whichever would be greater. As soon as this gets ratified, that would go into effect. But then when you look at 28.1B, upon ratification, we're adding another $1. So really, almost simultaneously, it's $1.73 and the extra $1 once this thing gets ratified. You're looking at a increase of $2.73. Now, we can look at the chart in a minute, but when you look at that, this is really, I think, maybe at a minimum almost 9% at the lowest end, but it's also most of the bargaining units in the 11-12% wage increase, which is, we believe, very competitive, number one. Number two, we're gonna call it a substantial increase. Because 11, 12 in today's world, I think is pretty strong. I do a lot of bargaining. I'm not sure that I know of folks going into that range here. So we're doing our best to be competitive there. Let's roll down just to see. Then, so that's upon ratified. Let's assume we agree today, you get ratified. In 2 weeks, we get it ratified. Those two things, basically $1.73 plus another $1 would start going into the paycheck right away. And then C goes into effect October 1. So in 2 more months, you're talking about a third increase in 2 more months. And this is the one we've had some small discussion. We're willing to discuss. We're proposing a time and grade because from our perspective, that's the way to do it. Someone's is a new sergeant versus 5-year sergeant. So someone might have 10 years as an officer, but only have a year as a sergeant. we think from a HR compensation perspective, that's the way to do it. So we propose time and grade. So your time as an officer, which wouldn't affect them, the officers aren't affected, it's their time and grade is the same as their time in service, right? So the majority of people it doesn't even affect. I guess what this would affect could be corporals and sergeants who have more, obviously, you'd have more time in service than you would necessarily in grade. But when you add that increase generally to people up from the 11 or 12% we're talking about within the next 2 months, so and almost an immediate increase. I forget the exact number, but we're probably looking at 14–15% increase between now and starting by October 1 if this thing gets ratified. So I think that's really strong, and intentionally so. We understand we need to stay competitive, we need to hire, we need to retain. Those are all, and we've got common goals here. That's, this isn't an issue of valuing service. I mean, that's a non-issue. We value it. We understand the need to be competitive, keep the good people we have, and to be able to hire. That's certainly the chief's goal, it's the city's goal, and we think our wage proposal is a strong effort to meet those goals and really put us, keep us very competitive in that range. I don't know, we could quickly, I was going to pull up a chart just to even look at percentages quickly. So the column, well, most of just the percentages. So the $1.73 and the dollar, where's that percent?
So here's the
Okay,
total.
so that column is the first two increases, the $1.73 and the dollar. And you can see there is the 9.4, but you go down it, I mean, a lot of people are 11–12%, just from those, couple high ones, 17–18%. But nobody, it looks like there's that 8.5 I see, but most people, nobody really below 9.5. So we think that's pretty strong. And then when you add the next increase to it, is that same chart, Sam?
Yep. So here's the time and grade calculation, and there's their percentage for the time and grade. So if you scroll up, you can see.
So that's an additional increase
Yes.
to the other. So if somebody's sitting on another 4% even, and some are double digits there. So some of those folks are gonna be getting, 20% increase between now and October. And even those who are a little lower, even if you're getting 3 or 4 come October 1, that's added to the 11–12% we already talked about. So we just feel like it's a really strong offer, and money's money. We know that. We can't fix everything in 1 year. We can't put all the money in a pension and also put all the money into wages. So we've tried to put a strong wage offer into place to hopefully make this attractive, that you can get it ratified and we can get it past our board. We both have constituencies. You're working for your folks, you're working hard for them, and we're taking guidance from our board, and we both need to get it ratified. So we're hoping to get into that middle ground. So I don't know if you have any questions about the offer, anybody specific, how come this person's only getting this or that, but we're here to try to answer those and make sure everybody understands that this is a pretty strong wage offer.
And it is. The only two, there are two main issues that we'd like to discuss. One, potential discussion, and then one issue we wanted to raise. It isn't a huge issue, but we want to talk about. First off is we'd like to see A being retroactive. My understanding is the rest of the city already received their increase as of October 1st, 2022. We'd like to see that here. The other issue I have is with one of the calculations with A, and and that's Ray Lane's sergeant. It'll be on the second
We
page.
fixed those.
The four that I talked about.
She said-
We fixed them.
The 10, let me see on there then. Can you, Ray Lane's?
Yeah, so they,
Nope, over to the 1. Yep, right there. If you could highlight his annual wage. That's even lower than what this is.
Did that column get updated?
So your proposed pay range for police sergeant starts at 59,249, so he's under
Yeah.
your proposed pay range.
I think that column
I
just
just
didn't
think
get,
it
I think
updated,
the
that's
hourly
there.
got corrected and not the
Yeah.
annual, so we'll update that. So
Well,
the hourly is correct.
Okay.
And it comes
Yeah.
with
It's
over
just a-
60, right?
62 or
Okay.
65, I
Yeah.
can't remember.
Perfect, that
Yeah.
was the only issue I wanted to raise there, that was
I
just
did
a
see, I think,
calculation issue.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were able to correct 3 or 4
Four of
people.
us.
It's
Yeah.
the 4 of you that
Yeah.
didn't pull over the promotional.
So
Correct.
we'll,
So the hourlies are correct.
yeah, we'll go in and do the annual and print that out for you.
Perfect, and that would fix that issue. The other issue is in C, the current classification versus time and grade. What really highlights how that is a problem is Officer Evans in the list and Corporal Smith. So Officer Evans was hired in 2001 after Officer Smith in 99. Officer Smith is a corporal who's only been in grade for, 3 years at this point? So Officer Smith's final, at the end of all the calculations, salary, which is the last line, ends up at 3503. Officer Evans ends up at 3544. So he's getting paid 41 cents more with a lower rank and less total time in the police department. That's just gonna cause morale problems.
Smith and Evans. you
So
said.
Evans is
Yeah.
at 3544 at the end of your grade. And then if you look at
And Smith will be 3503,
And what is Evans?
3544.
No.
Officer.
Officer Evans, it's Officer Moed.
This is back to the board.
Jeremy Smith,
Okay.
Corporal Jeremy Smith.
So that just, I mean, when you got a guy that's been in the police force longer and at a higher rank, making less than the guy who's been there less time and has stayed at the officer rank, that'll just cause problems.
I'm not, obviously, we have to look at, I don't know what caused that aberration. if it's-
Because he's only
Because
been
he's
time
a
in grade for
corporal.
3 years.
It's
Okay.
a time and grade versus years of service calculation.
That was one of the things that we brought up was, again, back in 2016, we had a similar pay study. And that's when all the compression started to happen because raises were given based off time and grade and not time and service. So like me, for example, I would be losing out on this if we went with this because I've been here for almost 14 years, but I haven't even been a corporal or the next grade I've been in that grade less than a year. So I'm only gonna get 3%. Versus if I had not promoted, I'd be getting whatever the calculation would be based off of my time and grade, but it would be 14 years.
And every corporal and sergeant is at 3%. None of them have been in grade long enough to get anything above 3%.
Which is a big
Yeah.
reason why people don't promote, is because this happened once before with Borsman, and it was pretty bad. I mean, it got corrected eventually because he got promoted, but that's, a lot of people that are,
I will note that the formula would have fixed him whether he would have been promoted or not this time around.
who,
Forsner. When he was promoted before this was implemented.
Go ahead and finish what you're saying, that's one of the,
that's
there's
one.
not enough difference, you're saying?
Yeah, there's not enough difference for people, to get promoted. I mean, to take on the responsibility, and then you're here, and you got people that are working for you, but you got somebody who's, see, for me, it doesn't make a difference, because I've only been here 6.5 years, and I've been promoted, a year? So sergeant, so it doesn't, so I get the 3, I would've gotten 3%, I would've gotten that 3% regardless, whether I got promoted or not. So I'm one of those rarities, but you have to be in that, and that's not really, something that people do here, that they're here 5 years and get promoted, or 6 years and get promoted. So, but these guys that are good and wanna get promoted, it's just preventing good people from getting promoted, because they're going, why would I do that? What's the incentive? So, I think,
Yeah. So in one of our proposals, we do have the increase in promotion, right, instead of 7.5,
It's
it goes
down
to
to
10 is
10%.
what we propose, so hopefully that will address that issue. And then, as we mentioned, we're open to
Suggestions.
adjusting those ranks. We did do a sample calculation on time and service. I don't know if that's what you want. Like, when we looked at it, some of the officers are still at 3%, and then some of them get really large raises. So I just don't know if that's the formula you want in there. So
Well,
really,
that's-
if you can look at,
maybe.
I'm sure it's not just these two, you know, there's other.
But maybe do something with,
issues.
like, I hate to say it like this, but maybe separate kind of like supervisors, because that's really where the issue is. The officers are gonna get what they're gonna get regardless, because they're gonna get.
Yeah,
they're-
the
they're-
officers have been.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it's when we looked at the corporals and sergeants, and we did the time and service, I don't know if that end amount is what you all want. Did you do those calculations, were you able to look at?
Yeah, so the pay proposal that we submitted, I think it was 2 or 3 meetings ago, that's how we calculated it, was the time and service based off of, rank was not considered whatsoever. It was time and service across the board. And there were individuals that were gonna get a significant raise because they've been here for so long.
Right.
But it eliminated the majority of that compression that we're seeing, and it leveled out the playing field as far as who's making what for how long they've been here, no matter the rank. So if that's something that has to be revisited, then, the calculations need to be.
Yeah, I think maybe putting some samples up there and walking through what works for you. It's a small number of employees, and we're very open to addressing that problem, but keep in mind, so for example, if somebody has been promoted, 3 years into their promotional rank, but they've been here 20 years, that calculation will be 20 years into their promotional rank. And I don't know if that's,
Correct.
is that what you want, or do you want something else? Because what if someone's been promoted 10 years and they've been here 20 years, those two people are gonna have the same calculation. You know what I mean? So
think
just
there's always gonna be
Yeah.
an
A
issue.
glitch.
Right.
But the majority of our issues, from what we looked at, would be solved if you just did a straight time and service raise. And then from there, moving forward with other contracts, it would have to be readjusted and say a longevity pay of something similar to what the fire department did, was 2% or 2 cents per year or something like that, based or given every contract or negotiated. That way you can avoid that compression issue moving forward. But it has to be corrected somewhere.
All right, well, why don't we do some sample calculations on those and look at it? Like I said,
So your thought process is, right now, you're thinking to do it for that third raise, that third adjustment, time and service, not time and grade.
Correct.
Or your proposal, if you will. Just need to look at it, we can look at it together once we're able to do some of those calculations. As you say, I think it gives double digits to some, and like you say, it's gonna be 3% regardless.
For me, it's,
Right.
Yeah.
right, which is fine.
And we can always do adjustments to that. We just want to start fixing the compression that's going to cause. And when you have a corporal that's been here longer than an officer and getting paid less, that is going to create problems in the agency.
It happened once before, and I always thought the boards and rule, when that happened, there were so many people, including guys like Rhett, that wouldn't take the promotional test, because they were going like, why? I mean, why would I do that? I mean, this guy, so then, and here we are, I mean, it's kind of like, we just want to avoid it, because right now, we're at a perfect place and time where we can avoid that going forward. I think it's just gonna take a little tweaking, but we can do that, and there's so many good people that want to get promoted and haven't taken, and they've been here a while. They just haven't taken it because it's not worth it to them.
so there'll be, for example, $20,000 delta in 2 corporals that have been in the position about the same period of time. right? So those are just the things we're looking at, but let's calculate it and you all can look at it,
Right.
right? You know, that's just,
But if I've been
Some
a
of the things
corporal,
we know.
and I'm just speaking for myself, I'm not speaking for anybody else. If I've been a corporal for 2 years, right? But I've only been in this agency for 6. He's been here 14 years and we got promoted together. And he's getting paid a little bit more than me. I'm okay with that, personally, because I understand, this guy's been here 14 years. I just got here.
right, and like 20,000 is a little bit, yeah, that's just what we wanna get our arms around.
Well, I think that if you're being truthful, I mean, if you've only been here a short amount of time, and somebody's been here and they're making more money than you, I think that's normal. You know, I mean, I don't see it, I mean, personally, I don't know.
All
I
right,
mean,
well, we'll
is
put this.
there, just to put it in perspective, is there anywhere else in the city that a supervisor is making less than their employee?
I couldn't tell you off the top of my
Typically-
head.
Well, no, I'm not asking you.
But yeah,
It's just a generalized
I
question.
hear you, I just wanna raise some of
That's-
the other concerns, so you can think
Yeah,
about that when you
absolutely.
look at the numbers, and then you share your priorities, and that's, it's
Yeah.
really about equity in your department internally.
Right.
So, I mean, that carries a lot of weight, so we'll just put the
Yeah.
numbers up, I just want you to think about, you know, all the.
Okay.
So, would it be fair to say that we're on pretty good target with the raises, the amount, the $1.73, the dollar. Got to talk about this third raise, but we're not far off or whatever as far as trying to get some agreement in that arena, I guess. Is that a fair statement, or?
No, we're definitely playing the same game.
Yeah.
No, it's, for what it is and where we're at now, it's a very reasonable
All right. that's-
offer. Now, for D, we kind of had. Yeah, I know that.
So D's, the October 124 increase.
Okay, I thought there were 2 things that were discussed, but for D, rather than a 2.5% increase, and I know we haven't talked hours worked yet, but potentially in 2024, changing hours worked from the 84 to the 80+4. That way, there's not a raise, but practically speaking, it's a raise for the guys.
Can we say that again? So in year 3?
Yeah, in year 3, instead of the 2.5% increase, do it as the year 3 implementing the 80+4 hours worked. That way, there's 2 years without it, per the contract, 2 years without it. So that kind of is our compromise on how to get the 80+4, and you guys
Offset.
save on the 2.5% increase.
2024.
Yeah, October
Yeah.
1st, 2024.
Which is a year from now, just so we're
Right.
clear. It's not a third year, it's a year from now. It's the second year of this contract.
But it's the third year of the
Third year.
contract,
Yeah,
technically.
the third year.
It's real soon.
Yes.
Real
Well, it's
soon.
the third
Sooner
year.
than
We'll be
you
back
think.
here as soon as you think.